I ask at this time if my colleagues could please stand and ask, oh, I'm sorry. Senator Respicio, Majority Leader, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that we adopt the session agenda dated May 3rd, 2013.
On that motion, without any objection, does everybody have a copy? Okay, without any objection, motion carries.
And Madam
Senator
Speaker,
Respicio?
since we had session yesterday and the genesis of today's session is the subject matter to which we had session yesterday, I move that we waive items 2, 3, 4, and 5 and proceed to roll call.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to call roll, please. Clerk?
Senator Tom Ada.
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing roll call right now.
Senator Tony Ada. Senator Uggan. Vice Speaker Cruz. Senator Duenas. Senator Limtiaco. Senator McCready. Senator Morrison. Senator Munya Barnes.
Gagia.
Senator Pangilinan. Senator Respicio. Senator Rodriguez. Senator San Nicolas. Speaker Wampat. Senator Yamashita. Madam Speaker, there is a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Senator Respicio?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that item 7 be waived, and we can approve this when we do have a journal available from the clerk.
On that motion, no objection.
Madam
Please proceed.
Speaker, we'll go ahead and do these few items. There are communications and petitions, and I move that they be appended to today's session journal.
Without any objection, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There are also messages from Imagalahan Guahan. I move that these messages from Imagalahan Guahan be appended to today's session journal.
Without objection, motion carries.
And Madam Speaker, also reports of standing committees be appended to today's session journal.
On that motion, no objection, motion carries.
And there are no reports of select committees. And so on item 12, Madam Speaker, I move that bill number 101-32 be given its first reading. LS, 101-32 LS rather.
On that motion, no objection, motion carries.
And I move that bill numbers 102-32 COR through 104-32 CRR also be given its first reading.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries.
And resolution number 129-32 LS be given its first reading.
On that motion, without an objection, motion carries.
And Madam Speaker, resolution number 130-32 COR be also given its first reading.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries.
And certificate number 20-32 also be given, LS also be given its first reading.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries.
Madam Speaker, I move that any resolution of commendatory or condolence in nature that's introduced for the duration of this session day, legislative day, be adopted, and that the legal counsel and the clerk work with the sponsor in the preparation of these documents, as well as having all senators co-sponsors of these resolutions and certificates of condolence or commendatory in nature.
On that motion, without any objection, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And finally, under legislative concurrence, and also, Madam Speaker, I move to excuse those senators that are not present for today's session.
On that motion, any objections? No objections, motion carries.
And Madam Speaker, I move that under legislative concurrence from Senator Rodriguez's Committee on Health and Human Services health insurance reform, economic development, and senior citizens, on the appointment of the nomination of Mr. Henry Taino to serve as Administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority at the pleasure of the Governor as defined by the Organic Act of Guam and the local laws applicable to the following position. And I move that this, beginning on February 4, 2013, with Senator Rodriguez's committee's recommendation to do confirm, I move that this be placed in the voting file.
On that motion, without any
And I
objections?
understand there may be some discussion.
Yes,
Yeah.
with discussion. Motion carries. Senator Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we're here today because we got the documents that were in question yesterday, the confirmation of Mr. Henry Taitano. We were provided several documents from Mr. Taitano that were issued by the Department of Revenue and Taxation. And so I'm hoping that this now would satisfy the questions that were raised, and that we can move forward and vote on his confirmation. So I want to ask that we move and vote on his confirmation.
Thank you, Senator Rodriguez. Do all my colleagues have a copy of the certifications as signed by Mr. George Cruz, both documents dated May 3rd, 2013? Does everybody have a copy? With that being said, does anybody wish to speak on the motion? Vice Speaker Cruz, anyone else? Vice Speaker Cruz, you're recognized on the motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I thank the good chairman of the committee for having provided to us by email earlier this afternoon the two documents from Rev and Tax. My question, Madam Speaker, is as we're speaking, the young man from the Speaker's office is passing out documents from, and I don't know where they're coming from. Are they part of the committee report, or are they just being passed out on the floor? Were they on the committee report? Because in what was emailed to me earlier, these two documents were not in there. They're just now being passed out on the floor. And he was circulating the committee report this afternoon, and not having had time to read and see what was in it, I just signed no, that I signed, and I said to not confirm. And these documents are just being provided to us, and I'm not sure exactly what exactly is the rush. And who's confirming? Who's confirming the veracity of these documents?
Vice Speaker Cruz.
There's no notary confirming the dates, which they knew that they should have, which is what they did when they first had the corporation. If you look at the document that was provided yesterday, the Downtown Pacific Ventures original documentation had notaries about the date and the time that, that the persons that signed actually signed on that date. What we've been provided today has no notary attesting to the date. There's no way of confirming what date these things were actually signed. I'm not alleging that they were backdated, but I'm just saying when on
Vice Speaker.
When you submit your documentation initially and you use a notary, why is it that 2 weeks later you change everything and you don't have a notary anymore? And it's just all of a sudden conveniently dated April the 30th, 2004. And so those documents, having been questioned, Madam Speaker, as to the two documents from Reverend Tax, the two documents that you have from Reverend Tax, look at it very carefully. It's like my asking you is if, you know, I am superhero, and you just say you're a nice person. Read it very carefully. And I'll just make this short because I have other things to do today. But I'm just saying, if you believe, if you feel that the person that's going to be your administrator for the Economic Development Administration could not have provided those documents 2 days ago, then fine, confirm. If you're satisfied that someone who Reverend Tax says didn't file for a business license after they made the LLC and signed in April the original LLP with him, Pacific Vision, was in 2003 October. In March of 2004, he was signing as Alliance. The certification from Reverend Tax says they never took out a business license. And if he didn't take out a business license, what was he doing signing 6 months later using that name? I have something else to go to, Madam Speaker, but I just wanted to put that on the record, and you can all vote your conscience. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Vice Speaker Cruz. Anyone else wishing to speak on the motion? Call for the question. Madam? Yeah, I know. I'm going to ask the clerk to read on the motion to place in the voting file. Are there any objections? No objections. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, can you please read the nomination of? Yeah.
On the appointment of Mr. Henry Titano to serve as Administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority.
Madam Clerk, is your mic on?
Yes, it is.
Can everybody hear? I apologize. If the sound man can turn up the volume a little bit, everybody turn on their mics, please. We're going to go ahead and call roll now.
On the appointment of Mr. Henry Titano to serve as Administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority.
Roll call.
Senator Tom Atta. Senator Tom Atta, nay. Senator Tony Atta. Senator Tony Atta, aye. Senator Uggan. Senator Uggan, pass. Vice Speaker Cruz. No. Vice Speaker Cruz, nay. Senator Duenas. Senator Duenas, excused. Senator Limtiaco. Aye. Senator Limtiaco, aye. Senator McCready. Yes. Senator McCready, aye. Senator Morrison. Aye. Senator Morrison, aye. Senator Munya Barnes.
Pass.
Senator Munya Barnes, pass. Senator Pangilinan. Aye. I'm sorry, Senator Pangilinan? Aye. Senator Pangilinan, nay. Senator Respicio. Senator Respicio, aye. Senator Rodriguez. Yes. Senator Rodriguez, aye. Senator San Nicolas. Pass. Senator San Nicolas, pass. Speaker Wampat.
Madam Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I am requesting a recusal pursuant to sub-item 6 of item G, section 1.02 of our standing rules relative to sessions of e-legislature in Guam, that the mother of the nominee is the treasurer of my campaign committee.
There has been a motion by Madam Speaker to recuse herself. Are there any objections? No objections. Motion carries. Madam Speaker, you're excused.
Speaker Wampat excused. Senator Yamashita. Senator Yamashita excused. Senator Uggan. Senator Uggan, pass. Senator Munya Barnes. Pass. Senator Munya Barnes, pass. Senator San Nicolas. No. Senator San Nicolas, nay. Senator Uggan. Senator Uggan, nay. Senator Munya Barnes. Senator Munya Barnes, aye.
On the appointment of Henry Titano to serve as Administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority, there was 7 yeas, 5 nays, 1 abstention, and 2 excused absences. Mr. Titano is not confirmed. Senator Respicio, you're recognized. Are there any brief extension of remarks from my colleagues?
Madam Speaker, can I get a minute recess to clarify something?
We're in recess for 1 minute. This legislature is back in session. Senator Respicio?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to reconsider the actions of the body at the next legislative session.
On that motion
On the
to-
matter of the appointment of Mr. Henry Titano.
On that motion for reconsideration and on the next session date, without it, are there any objections? Are there no objections? Yeah, you know what? Right as I was ready to gavel in, there was an objection. I will go ahead and respect.
Madam Speaker, I
Yes.
believe you gavelled before the
I
objection was raised.
understand that, but it is at my discretion, right when I was ready to,
No, the gavel-
right
you
when I was
gavelled
gaveling it,
The
Senator
gavelled
San Nicolas.
was, it was gavelled, then the objection was called.
Yeah, yes. I, as Speaker, will respect the decision that as I was ready to gavel, Senator Nicholas did make the objection. I will go ahead and consider that. There is an objection on the floor. All those who want to have the motion for reconsideration on the next session date, please signify by raising your hand.
Hold on. Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I'd like to, I mean, how can we challenge your,
You can't. I can't because as I was doing this, his hand was being raised up, and I've only asked that the
Okay, so if I can do that
reconsideration
here?
be there.
Okay, so I guess the motion would be to overrule the speaker's ruling. Yes, because, Madam Speaker, you did gavel it already.
Yeah,
And then
no.
the objection came in.
Senator Rodriguez, I do understand, but in all fairness, a parity here and what's going on, I'm the one looking down, and as I was ready to gavel it in, and as my hand was going down, Senator, in all fairness to Senator San Nicolas, he raised his hand. We've done this before. We've made this, this gavel has been hit before, and we've always moved to reconsider that based on giving the respect to our colleague who, at the last moment, raised their hands. So in all fairness to my colleague, I've called it back and giving him that opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and take a 1-minute recess to look at the Mason's rules over. There is a motion to overrule the speaker's ruling on the objection that was noted. All those who want to overrule the speaker, please signify by raising your hand. Motion fails. On the motion to reconsider the actions of the body, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. And this is for motion for next session date. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion fails. Senator Rory Respicio. Senator Res- Senator Rispici, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I move to adjourn this session, subject to the call of the Speaker.
On that motion, are there any objections? No objections, motion carries. We are adjourned.